Hello and welcome to Saturday Night Crafting. Tonight I've got some fun for you. I thought we would use some old books tonight in our crafting and get a bit mixed media, distressed sort of looks, maybe more distressed than mixed media. I'm starting with the top folding note card. This is in craft cardstock. I thought it went really nicely with my old book. It's quite an old book, you'll see it in a minute. So it's kind of got the yellowed pages. And then I'm going with some sort of vanilla or ivory colored cardstock as well. I'm going to use these two ink pads today, Seedless Preserves and Walnut Stain. I've also got some new domed rounded ink blender tools from Craftelier, which is really exciting. I can't wait to try them out. And this is the book I was telling you about. It's a kind of a random weird book. A friend gave it to me, and she used it for some mixed media and stuff, but it's kind of got everything. It's got like growing your own vegetables, how to play various games, how to play various sports, all kinds of weird stuff, but nothing inappropriate. So when you're using old books, make sure you're having a look at what the pages say. Don't go using 50 Shades of Grey on your card making. That would be a bad mistake. So just charity shops sell these kind of books all the time. And they're usually just sort of the cheapest ones you can find in the shop, and they're really great for making projects like this. I've got another video coming as well in the next few days using book pages again, so make sure to check that video out as well. Now I'm cleaning off my mat. This is the Altenew silicone mixed media mat. I use this all the time when I'm ink blending or doing mixed media stuff, and it's nice and easy because you can either spray the mat or spray your cloth. Don't forget, it's Saturday night, so we're having a drink. Make sure you don't knock it. It might be good to put it in a little sippy cup or something, because that's probably what I should do. I knock things quite a bit. But in between all these layers, I'm just kind of giving my little table a wipe, and I'm just using water. That's all that's in my little spray bottle. I've gone ahead and used the walnut stain around the edges first. This is my card base. Because my card topper is going to be showing up, I decided to do the base as well and kind of make it look aged and distressed with the purple and the brown. Now this little bit is my insert for the inside for my message, and I kind of wanted it to blend with the theme, so I kind of did a bunch of inky mucky edges as well. This is not for the clean and tidy crafter, just to warn you. Please don't watch this and criticize me if you are a clean and tidy crafter, because this is far from it. This is my kind of crafting that I love doing every so often, where you just get a bit mucky and you get a bit crazy and you wreck your papers basically and make a beautiful card. So you can either, I'm going to distress the edges here, and you can either use one of these distressing tools. This is a Stampin' Up! One I got ages ago. I'll link one down below for you, sort of the budget one from Craft Stash. They're all the same. They've just got like a blade in them, and they kind of keep your hands from getting cut or wrecked. But you can use the edge of scissors, as I've just shown you there. Just make sure you don't cut your hand open while you're holding your scissors and doing the edges. And all we're doing is roughing them up. And the rougher the better. But this is very, very thin old paper. So I'm trying not to sort of rip the whole thing in half. But I am trying to go for a nice, rough, messed up edge. And there are nicks and there are tears, and that kind of adds to the effect to me. Then we're going to scrunch it. We're going to crumple it. Now, if your paper is very delicate, you don't want to overdo this step because you don't want to put holes in it, unless that's the look you're going for. But I'm going to scrunch it. And this is because when I add my ink onto the top, the ink kind of picks up on those creases and kind of highlights those creases and gives it that kind of aged look again, which is really fun. And that's kind of what we're going for. We're going for the torn, aged, distressed kind of look. So I apply my purple first, and then I apply some of the brown. And yes, it doesn't make the most beautiful color, but it kind of takes the punch out of the purple. It kind of makes it look a bit more aged, which is what I wanted to do. You'll see another sample at the end. I did 2 of these cards, and I wanted to get a third one done, but I had to stop myself because I needed to do some other bits and bobs. So I'm just, again, inking the edges, inking a little bit of the middle. You can see how delicate the paper is. It's kind of flopping about. I'm going to use my liquid glue to stick it down, and I'm just going to apply a light layer of glue close to the edges but not all the way up, and around the middle, and then I'm just scrunching it down. I'm not trying to press it and fold it flat. I've got these hole punches. These are EK Success hole punches. I love them. If I can find them, I will link them down below for you. I've got some new punches in my stash, and I've been having fun with them and picking them up from places. I'm going to punch out a flower out of the same paper that we've just used, and then a flower out of the same sort of vanilla cardstock, the ivory cardstock that I used for the base, for the insert, I should say. Again, I'm scrunching them, so this is not for the nice tiny crafter. And I'm going to go ahead and apply ink to both of them, and I'm going to kind of just do the edges of the flowers in the brown. So the core of the flower with the book page is purple, and then the outside edge is brown. I'm going a lot heavier handed on the solid colored one because I wanted it to look like it was more like a solid colored cardstock rather than just distressed with a hint of color. I did do the back as well because I figured if I've scrunched up my flower and it kind of lifts up from the edges, I wanted people to be able to still see color. I didn't want it to look like it was this bright white vanilla color from the back. I've got some little smaller punches again from EK Success, and I'm going to use those to punch out. Now you can use dies. If you've got dies, use dies. You can freestyle it and cut your own flowers. I just wanted to use my punches because they were quick and easy and I didn't have to get my big shot out and use it. I've got the ink refill for my ink pad, and so I'm going to take this little bottle here. If I can find these, I'll link them down below. I got them from AliExpress. And I'm putting 1 squidge of ink into this little spray bottle. I think they're 5 ml spray bottles, 3 or 5 mils. I'm going to pour just a little bit of water into the container, and I'll show you with my finger in a minute how much water I added. I want it to be a nice concentrated color. So again, that's all I added, was about that much water into it. And I'm just going to give it a little shake, and I'm going to spritz these flowers. I just didn't want to go through the pain of trying to ink them up or ink up the paper, and I kind of wanted that funky distressed look, so I wanted it to be a bit uneven with my spraying. I then went and added some mica powder from Arteza into this bottle with water and made my own shimmer spritz, and I'm just spritzing those flowers. Then I'm coming in with my microfiber cloth and just drying up the excess liquid. I didn't have the patience or the time to let them naturally dry, and it's really thin paper. So I then heat set them very quickly, because it was such thin paper, with my heat gun to dry them. I've got some burlap ribbon, which is from AliExpress. I'll link it down below if I can find it. And I'm just going to run a piece across. I wanted to wrap it originally around the paper and kind of have the edges tucked underneath the paper. But then I found that my paper was just too thin. It probably wouldn't work out, and it'd look a bit bumpy. So I decided to use a glue gun and glue it onto the top. The glue gun, just because it's a nice, fast, secure way to glue on a piece of burlap ribbon without making a big old mess with liquid glue. I'm going to glue my flowers together and stack them on top of each other. They're 2 different flowers, but they do work well on top of each other. And I'm just going to kind of ruffle those edges a bit more and make them a bit more scrunchy. I wanted to stick that in the middle of my card as the sort of focal point of the card. I found this button in my stash. It's like a brass button, I think, like a goldy kind of brass color. Really cool. So I ran some of this really thin twine, which again I'll link down below if you want to get your hands on some. I buy a huge reel of it. Well, the reel is not huge, but there's a heck of a lot on there from AliExpress. And I've just tied some twine through that button. And I'm going to use my glue gun because it's right there and hot and ready, and stick on those elements. Now, I found these leaves in my collection when I was looking for something else, and I was like, oh, these are so perfect. These, again, I'm sorry, they're from AliExpress. I went on a big binge ages ago and bought loads of embellishments from there. I don't endorse buying stamps and dies from companies that sort of do knockoffs. There's a couple companies that I will shop from that do original designs, but all the embellishments and stuff, I just go crazy happy on there. My ribbons, my buttons, my brads, my leaves. And this is a set of like 25 metallic leaves. So they are metal, and they have a hole, a very tiny hole in the end. I think they're meant for jewelry making, maybe earrings or necklaces or something. But I love sticking them on cards, and they're very, very thin and very, very lightweight. So they don't really weigh much more than paper. They're super thin. So you could probably bend them as well if you wanted. I just stuck them under my flower with my hot glue gun. This is my pick-me-up tool, which I use all the time. It is literally a stylus with a bit of blue tack on the end. It is my favorite tool for picking up little things like these flowers. And I'm just layering up the flowers. I'm doing sort of the fat one on the bottom and the slightly thinner one on the top. I'm putting my glue down first because that's easier for putting these flowers down. And then I'm just kind of plonking them on. And I'm doing the 2 edges so that your eye is again drawn to the middle of the card. Now, when I was finished and all this dried, I decided to scrunch those flowers. So my glue is completely dried, and I'm just giving those flowers a bit more of a scrunch. This is Tonic Nouveau Drops. This is the stone in the gold color. So when it's dried, you'll see the pictures at the end. It dries and it looks like a stone. It's not, it's shiny because it's shimmery, but it's not shiny, like glossy. There we go. It's like stone. It's really cool. I have had these words in my stash for years. Oh my word. Probably like 10 years. They probably don't make them anymore. And I thought, let's use these. We can add a nice little sentiment, a nice little phrase onto the card, and then there's less work involved again. Now, I was trying to work out where to put it, and I decided I wanted it there in the middle by the flower, but I kind of wanted it to stand out a little bit more. So I'm popping it up on some thin foam. This is foam from Alina's shop on AliExpress, and I'm just putting it there in the middle on the bottom of the flower. And that finishes off that card. Oh no, I did add some glossy accents. I wanted to make it a bit more shiny because I love shiny and shimmery. So I did put the glossy accents on there. You'll see the photos in a minute when it's all dry. And that finishes that card. And I went ahead and made a second card as well, which I absolutely loved. I have a total obsession with the color teal, and I really do love how teal and brown kind of look together. So I did this flower here, and I used some thick twine to do the stem of the flower and just kind of changed up the design a little bit. So I used peacock feathers, and then I've got this brown Nuvo drops from Tonic, and that's what I kind of used for the flowers in the centers of the little ones. And other than that, the whole thing was the same. I just kind of changed the design a little bit, but it used up those papers in that book, gave a new life to that book, and created some really cool, fun, unique, different cards. So I hope you had fun with me tonight. I hope you enjoyed hanging out on Saturday night. I hope you've got a nice drink with you, and I would love you to give this a go. If you want to share it with me, I've got a Facebook group. You could go over there and join the group. Make sure you answer the questions, share your projects and makes with us. You can share it with me on Instagram and tag me. I am still getting my head around that one, but I'm over there. So I will see you all again soon. I hope you have a lovely weekend. Happy crafting. Bye.